today I'm going to talk about how I wrote a song for Amanda Palmer as part of her songwriting competition that she launched last month. So let's get to it. On the 14th of July, my birthday actually, Amanda Palmer put up this Patreon post that you can see now, asking for her fans or patrons or anybody actually to write her a song based on this article that she found that she really liked. And this article was all about the blackouts that happened recently in New York. Me being a songwriter and also a bit of a fan of Amanda Palmer, I thought I can't not at least give this a shot. So there was a week to do it in. I think I wrote mine mostly in about 4 days and then submitted it. So hopefully you might learn something or find this interesting. And anyway, I'm going to tell you about my process. So here we go. It's up there. Hang on. So the first thing I thought about when writing a song for Amanda Palmer was, what instrument am I going to play this on? So Amanda Palmer is kind of famous for playing piano and ukulele. I kind of play both those things. Well, I do play both those instruments, but I actually felt for this I wanted to stay away from instruments that she plays, because I didn't want this to be me trying to copy Amanda Palmer as closely as possible. I wanted very much to just write a good song, throw bits in there that were reminiscent of her style rather than just trying to be a copycat and failing. Let's keep it simple. Let's just go for acoustic guitar, some chords and some vocal. I didn't want to go for a full production, full band. I didn't want to go for crazy piano gymnastics. I just wanted to keep it very simple. I always feel like when you're covering a song, the less there is, sometimes the more there is to work with. My next stage was to actually just read through the article, and I read through it once, and that was deliberate that I only read through it once, because sometimes I feel that first impressions of things are the most important sometimes. So I had my trusty book, read through it and wrote down anything that I thought was key or that stood out to me. So I'll read you some of those now. You can also see it on screen. Na na na. Eerie lights, cheers ringing out in the streets, Fifth Avenue, mechanical failure, cause unknown. Ladies, this is not the time. It's not really sentences or full ideas, it's literally anything that I thought could be useful or something that I could use or put in the song. So that's sort of where I started, was literally just making a big old list of all these things to pick and choose from. Now that I've got my list of just sort of initial ideas or things that jumped out at me, it was time to sort of refine these ideas down to something a bit more workable or more into specific themes. Again, you can see it on screen, but I came up with 5 different themes that I could possibly take this song, or 5 different ideas that I might be able to incorporate in one song. So these were power failure, so as a political metaphor. So, the power has literally failed in New York, but also the power as in presidents and prime ministers and all that is also, you could say, failing at the moment. So the second one, ladies, this is not the time, and this was a quote that Amanda Palmer pulled out herself. It kind of reminded me of like old films where you have people going, oh ladies, it's not the time for this, your petty things, please move along, because men are doing business here type thing. It's just, ladies, this is not the time. The way that's worded reminded me of that. And then I also had this juxtaposition of, well, in actual fact, because of all the horrible stuff that's been happening, and especially like in America with abortion laws, I was like, actually it is in fact the time for ladies to be doing things and for standing their ground. Are we going to sleep here was the next one. And are we going to stay put? Are we not going to move forward? We're just going to walk and see what happens. Again, to me that means like, okay, I don't really know where I'm going, but we're going to walk anyway. We're going to try this even if it's not fully mapped out. And these were kind of like the 5 main themes that I got from my sort of word jumble initial list. I didn't know whether to sort of pick one idea and run with that, or try and incorporate like a few bits of each, and in the end I kind of went for a few bits of each. I think I used each one of those as inspirations for like a verse or the chorus or the bridge. My next step was improvising. So a lot of the time when I'm writing, I will have a general idea or a few lines written. I kind of like to feel it out a little bit, like as a song. I know that sounds weird. I will start singing like the one line that I have and then see where my mouth goes, like see where it wants to take me. Feeling out a lot of things, so I'm feeling out where the lyrics are going to take me, and I'm also feeling out where the melody is going to take me. So I find sometimes that helps, and sometimes actually if it comes naturally, that's better than trying to engineer or force it to be a good song. You'll see now there's a bad phone quality video of me where I'm basically trying some stuff out, so enjoy that.
Ladies, this is not says the man as he pushes back into the line.
I'm going to talk a little bit about my chord choices and the music. In Amanda's post, she again said that the more quotes that you use from the article, the better. So I tried to make the first line of each verse a quote from the article. And the chorus I really wanted to keep simple, and I wanted it to be a metaphor for political failure and also literal electricity failure. The power is failing, just like before, because they had a similar blackout in 1977, and also because we've had political failings before. Then I wanted to switch it around and say the powers that be have failed us, so I wanted to acknowledge that I'm not just talking about the blackout, I'm also talking about governments and people in power and that are failing us right now. And then it was a comment of, you know, and how many more? So how many more times do we have to go through this process of being at the mercy of very powerful people and then making horrible decisions? But I wanted to write that in a very non-wordy, just very simple way, and I wanted it to be just sort of a impactful sort of, yes, the power is failing. You know, how long do we have to endure this? That's kind of a rundown of the lyrics. So let's now talk a bit about the music, which I said before is mainly just kind of chords on an acoustic guitar. Let me put this book down. I knew for the verse I wanted it to sound a bit more spiky and interesting, and for the chorus I wanted it to be catchy, I wanted it to stick in your head, it needed to be simple, just like plainish chords, just for sort of that resolving thing that you get in choruses, so it's really satisfying, and then the verse can be a bit more interesting. Actually, I might get a guitar for this. I started off with this A major, and then this C major 7th add 6, which is really nice sounding, to an F major, and then normally at this point you'd probably go to the G, because that sounds like nice and resolved. But it was a bit too happy and safe. Like what I'm talking about here is kind of horrible things, and you know, like important political things. And I didn't want this sort of really nice resolved thing. Like it just sounds a bit too happy, so I just shifted it up to the G sharp. It works, it sounds okay, like it definitely sounds more edgy, which is what I prefer. For the chorus, I wanted to go simple, so we go for an A minor, an E minor, and then I went for a G suspended 4th actually. Because a suspended 4th always tends to resolve really nicely. Shall I come down here now? Hello. This nice sense of sort of fullness and just more togetherness than what the verse does, which you kind of want for a chorus because you want it to be catchy and simple, and sometimes, caveat, sometimes you want a chorus to be super catchy and super simple. I'm not generalising because I realise I write a lot of songs which are not like that. But for this, I wanted it to be super catchy and super simple. And that G suspended fourth just sort of adds, it resolves, but it has this, it's not just a plain G chord, which I like. There's two parts in this song which were kind of homages to Amanda Palmer's previous work. So the first is at the end of the chorus, which goes a bit like this. It reminded me, it's not the same, but it reminded me of when she ends a verse or ends a chorus in one of her songs called The Killing Type.
Just from 1,000 years of battle, and I think it's such a burn.
Had a similar kind of feel to that song. And then the second part of this song, which is something that I put in because it was reminiscent of Amanda Palmer's style, is the very last chorus is the same pretty much as all the other choruses. Instead of it being lots of fast strummy chords, it's very, you know, toned down, very gentle, you know, as almost as weak as you could make it. And now the power is failing, the powers that be have failed us. And I wanted to really get that sort of quietness, the emptiness, the emotion across. There's a particular song that Amanda Palmer does called Trout Heart Replica, where she does this at the end of the song.
Promise I'll love you and I'll make you laugh.
I really wanted to give some contrast at the end and really break it down and sort of give it the same message, a different feel, while also paying homage to Amanda Palmer.
Ladies, we're just going to walk and see what happens.
All that is left to say is, if you want to hear the version I submitted to Amanda in its raw, awesome form, go over to our SoundCloud. There is a link in the description to the actual track and you can check it out there. The final thing to say about this track is we are turning it into a full Boxtape track, complete with Kieran and nice music video. We've already started getting props and things for that. So that will be coming fairly shortly. If you want to listen to any of the other tracks that were submitted to this competition, just head over to Amanda's Patreon post. It's linked in the description again, and they're all there in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you found it interesting, entertaining, I don't know, whatever. I'm making noises on a guitar. Loads of other songwriting, music vids, and also cool songs and covers and stuff. So yeah, do check out our other vids, subscribe, like, bell thing, you know what it is, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye. Boom.